So in this case, we already identify what is to produce. So it's focus on what is the type of the product. And then we determine also how many product we have to produce, when. It's also about the time phase plan. So it's getting more detailed compared to aggregate. We also check whether our plan here, the schedule that we make here, is feasible, considering the capacity that we have. So we try to look into the balance between demand and capacity, but in the level of product time. In aggregate, we talk about in more general, so we don't consider the product time. And then we go deeper again after the MPS is done, and then we go into material requirement planning. In this case, we already like entering into a precise raw material and component planning. So we explode our MPS, our master production schedule, into detailed schedule for raw material and component. How we can do that? We can do that by take a look into the bill of material. Sometimes we call it the product structure. So we go level by level. So we start with the final product, and then we go lower into the assembly product, and then we go lower into the component and raw material product. So in this case, we also needs to identify the lead time. Because of what? Because the output of the material requirement planning is the order release. So when we have to release our order, it depends to the lead time. That's why in MRP step, we need to identify the bill of material, the product structure, the lead time, and also we need to identify the precise number of raw material and component needed in each level. And if we already like explode our plan into more detail in MRP, and then we can continue into the production schedule and control. So it is the time when we execute our shop floor, we do the routing, determine the flow of the product, and also we do the loading and dispatching of the production process. So in this case, we also do the monitoring to look into whether what we have planned can be executed properly, and then this is like kind of a looping cycle. That's the production planning in general. So today we will focus on the aggregate planning. So the number 3. Previously, I already talked that we have in common, there are 3 strategies for aggregate planning. We have the leveling strategy. So the illustration is why it is named as leveling, because this is like a line. It means like the company try to maintain fixed production rate per period, whether the demand is high, decrease, increase. We do not considering that condition. The company still produce with the fixed production rate. Why this chosen? Usually, like the aim is to minimize the changeover cost, because we don't have to like changing the production rate each time. So it's mean like we can decrease the setup time and etc. In leveling, because we produce with the fixed production rate, so it's mean we try to maintain this stable labor level. So the man hour, we keep it stable. And then why? Because in this perspective, the main idea when the labor have stable working hours, it can promote employee satisfaction. So how about the inventory? Because we produce with a fixed rate, then it means like when the demand is decreased at the low point, so it means like we build an inventory there. And vice versa. When the demand is increased, then it means we use our inventory. We absorb the inventory that we already built when the season is low. So in this case, what we try to reach with the level strategy, we try to minimize the total costs while we try to maintain the average demand. So aggregate planning, whether it's leveling, chasing, or mixed strategy, actually they are the same. We try to minimize the total cost. And then the second strategy is the principle from the name chasing. So it's mean we try to change our production rate to match the demand exactly in each period. So when the demand increase, so it means we will also increase our production rate. When the demand decrease, we also try to decrease our production rate. Why? Because one of the principle here is to make the inventory of finished goods minimized, almost zero. So how can we achieve that? Just our workforce. So it means we can increase or decrease our workforce, whether from the hiring, layoff, or we use temporary. And sometimes we can add the overtime hours, or even we can use subcontract. But this strategy actually has disadvantages. Because of what? Because when we fluctuate our labor hours, so it means we will have high labor cost fluctuations. So the principle here, we try to avoid our holding costs, but because we try to avoid holding costs, it means sometimes we have the risk of stock out. Why? Because the hiring is not as easy as in theory. In theory, we can like easy to hiring and firing labor, but in actual operation, it's kind of like hard to do that. And then for the operation, so we have the hiring cost, layoff cost, and also
Ibu mute, Bu. Ibu boleh tekan balik.
is it okay?
Okay, Bu. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then the third strategy is mixed strategy, so it's kind of like a hybrid strategy between leveling and chasing. So we try to implement both of them in different levels. So when the demand is increased from time to time, then we try to chasing. And then when it's decreased again, then we try to keep, but then when it's still decreased, then we decrease our production level into the level. So when we see here, we have still like a fluctuation, but it's not as high as in chasing strategy. So it's try to maintain the core permanent workforce. So we don't lay off our permanent, but if we need temporary additional working hours, we can try to use the overtime, or sometimes we can use temporary staff. Okay. So in this case, usually it can give more satisfaction compared to chasing strategy. Okay. And then for the metric, we have the overtime, inventory, and also we still try to minimize the total cost. It is comprised of the production, inventory, and overtime cost. Okay. Now we go into our case study. So our case study is in the company of ABC. Actually, it's not the actual name of the company. It's just to keep their confidentiality. This is an automotive company, a manufacturing facility in Indonesia that focus on producing the assembly and the component for the automotive. We will focus on the engine plant only, and we focus on the engine production. So in general, this company is following the production flow process as in make-to-order company. So they produce based on the prediction of the order. So this is the illustration of the company. They have press plant and then part center. They also have the engine plant. This is the one that we will focusing on. The engine plant here. They have also the assembly plant. So the location is in West Java. So the company received the material, the local part and also imported part from its supplier. And this part can be processed as in casting process, machining and assembly. And part of them is also like directly packing for exporting component. The assembling part will be delivered into Astra and Toyota Motor. So what we done here, we focus on the cover of the cylinder head. This is the illustration of the object. We try to make the aggregate planning. We have to collect demand forecasting. So we make the demand forecasting based on the historical data from the sales and marketing department of their company. And then we try to calculate the cycle time. So at that time we do the observation to measure the cycle time of this product. And then we calculate the available operational time. So basically, you have to identify how many working day in a month, and then we multiply it with how many hours in a day, and how many shifts that they have in each day. So we will come up with the available operational time. And then we identify the production cost, especially on the operator cost. This is, we have a 4 time of cost that we identify. It's related to regular time. So it's mean like the labor cost when they work in the regular hour, and then daily overtime. So the company have a policy that labor can maximum to overtime in daily around 2 hours, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have holiday overtime. So it's overtime on Saturday or Sunday. And we also have the option of subcontract. And then we also measure the production capacity and also the production efficiency. So it's basically we try to identify the idle and also the quality rate of the product. And how we solve it? So first of all, we make the forecasting. So this is our forecasting for 2 types of the cover at cylinder. And then we sum up. Here we add a column to sum up the forecast because we make on the aggregate planning. So it's mean we don't differentiate between XX and XZ. After we have the total demand for the cover, and then we try to formulate the problem as a linear programming. So here we have the objective function is to minimize the total cost. So here is the cost coefficient for regular hours. And our decision variable is XRT, XTOT, XHOT, and SP, which represent the number of parts that produce in regular time, daily overtime, holiday overtime, and subcontract. And the C is the cost coefficient for each option. And then what we use as the constraint. So the constraint will be the first is the regular capacity. So the total capacity available in years, because we make the aggregate planning for the companies in yearly basis. And then the second one is regarding that what we produce is not more than the capacity that we have in each month. It's also the same for daily overtime, holiday overtime, subcontract. And then we also have the constraint for demand. So it is to make sure that we meet our demand. And then the last one is the non-negativity constraint. Then you can solve it either using a simplex, or we can also using transportation methods. This one is easier for you, but the simplex, we are sure that the solution will be optimal, but for the transportation, it's not always. Okay, I will show you what we done in sorry. Can you see my Excel? So this is actually the
Yes,
data
yes.
that we have.
Yes.
We have, Thank you. So we have the demand here for each month, and then we have how many days, operation days in each month, and then we calculate how many hours in each shift in a month, and then total loading time means we only calculate the availability. So we already like data from the breakdown time. And then there is mandatory, it is like mandatory maintenance hours. So the available time actually in total waktu, that's the available time. Then we have the cycle time and the efficiency based on the quality rate and the percentage of downtime. Then we make the transportation matrix. This is if you solve the problem using the transportation matrix. So we use the northwest kernel rule approach. We start from the left upper side. So it start with the January until we end it in December. That's what we done using the transportation approach. Then we will come up with the total cost. Then we can see how much money that we spend with this strategy. This is the results. So the output of aggregate planning, you will come up with how many pieces that you will produce using the regular time, daily, holiday, and subcontract in each month. I think that's all that I can share with you. It's small talk. I hope that's easier to follow, but I'm sorry if there is some confusing during my presentation. Thank you, Prof. Effendi.
Yes, Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much, Ibu, for I think very nice topic that we have. I think simple, quite simple, straightforward. I think, but I think the main topic here is talking about the aggregate planning, right? Ibu talking about the aggregate planning, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I think some of the students maybe know, maybe not know about the aggregate planning. You have 3 strategies, right? Kita talking about the level strategy, case strategy, mix strategy, right? Mungkin Ibu boleh terangkan in the simple way. Actually, these 3, what is the pro and con? Mungkin dia dapat pelajar-pelajar kita ni Bu dapat sedikit ilmu the aggregate planning. Why this one is very important and what is this 3 different? Boleh Ibu?
Okay. So as I explained before, when you look into So if we look into the graphic here, the orange line means we produce with fixed rate. So because the production rate is fixed, so it means we don't have to change our setup. So we can minimize the changeover cost in here. But because we use a fixed rate, so it means when the demand is decreased, you will build up inventory. It means you will have inventory costs. And another advantage is because we have a fixed rate. So the labor will work almost the same hour in each day. Usually based on some surveys say that when you work with almost the same load, then you will feeling more satisfied. That's the advantages. So the disadvantages is you will have some inventory, you build up inventory, so possibility it will increase your inventory cost. But the advantages, you can minimize your changeover and also you can increase the employee satisfaction. That's level strategy. We move into chasing. Chasing means you will follow the demand pattern. So when the demand increase, you will also increase your production rate. When the demand decrease, you will also decrease your production rate. So the advantages is because you follow the pattern of the demand. So it means you will almost have zero finished good inventory. You minimize your inventory. So it's like vice versa with leveling. Leveling, you build up. Chasing, you minimize the inventory. So because you minimize, you will have a minimized inventory cost. But the disadvantage is because you always adjust your workforce hours. Either you hiring a new employee or you lay off your current employee to follow the demand pattern. So it means like you will have a high labor cost fluctuation. Usually layoff costs a lot of money for the company. Hiring, it means you have to train your employee. So that's the disadvantages. We can minimize the inventory cost, but we increase our labor costs. That's the chasing strategy. And that's why the mixed strategy try to balance both of the approach. So it's trying to combine between leveling. We try to maintain the same production rate. So we have a base production rate here, but we can increase or decrease when it is needed. That's the problem. When it is needed, it sometimes can be interpreted differently. I mean, that's the subjectivity take a role. When you ask me why it's increased in here in period 2, not in period 3. Oh, because we predict that it will increase already like 2 periods. So it's time for us to increase in period 2, not 3, because if 3, then you are late, for example. But probably different decision maker will say, no, 2 is too early. You increase on 3. That's probably happen in mixed strategy. So there is no a certain rule where you increase or decrease your production rate, but we sure that when you face increasing in forecast demand, then it is needed to increase your production rate. But when, that's maybe subjective. So in this case, we can optimize our total cost by balancing the inventory and labor cost. That's the main advantages expected using this strategy. We can balance the total cost because the inventory cost will not as much as in level strategy, and the labor cost will not as much as in chasing strategy. I think that's in a simple way how we compare between the leveling, chasing, and mixed strategy.
Yes, very important. Yeah, thank you very much. Alhamdulillah, I think for the audience, especially for all the students, I think that is the first information that you need to understand. We're talking about more on aggregate planning in terms of forecasting, Bu, eh? So
yes.
Talking about the level strategy, chase strategy, and mixed strategy, and then Ibu Aisyah give example one case study that have been solved in Indonesia. So it's practical based. So means that whatever that you learn actually in class, whatever information that you get in class about these three strategies, you can try to implement in the industry. But after using the aggregate planning, I think the next step, I think we can have using maybe MPS, correct? The
Yes,
master
yes,
production scheduling. Maybe
that's right.
ibu boleh terang sikit from the forecasting side, at least student dapat idea kan, go to the
Okay.
schedule 4. Maybe little bit explanation boleh?
Okay. So here, if we back into the slide thing. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Here,
Yes.
when we
This part.
say the MPS, Master Production Schedule, it's
Yes.
detailed schedule for finished product. It means like when we already have like this part, the output is like this one. And
Yes.
then we will like to split again into the product XX and XZ. How? By to refer back to the proportion from the first time. So it's mean like here we have roughly the ratio is 1 to 4. So it's mean like 1/4 of 7,900 will go to XX, and then the 3/4 will go to XZ. So it's mean like after you have the general part, so in aggregate planning, we don't take into account the type of the product, but when we continue with the MPS, it means like you will disaggregate, so you explode the aggregate planning into each type of the product.
Yeah.
So you will divide this number into how many pieces goes to XX and how many pieces goes to XZ, based on what? Based on the ratio.
Okay.
That's what we done in MPS. And
Yeah.
then in MPS, you also have to look into the time piece. I mean, because sometimes the company already like have beginning inventory. So it's mean like we will calculate the net requirement actually in the master production schedule. So in aggregate planning, we don't take into account what inventory that the company have in the initial periods. But in MPS, we already like take a look into our inventory positions. So we can predict more detail on how many pieces that we will produce on each type of the product on each month when we already deduct with the inventory. That's the difference between aggregate and MPS.
Yes. Right. I think that is so important, so important in terms of forecasting to get the data. I think takes the operation and scheduling process from planning to execution because it need or require gathering data from sources, right? Such as the demand
Yes.
forecast, resource availability from the sales operation plan, and so on. I think that is showing how important IE in real life, right? But I think
Yes. Yes.
maybe if, some of the students look like a very difficult, but I think if you work, kalau kita dah kerja nanti, if that become your routine job, I think it should be okay, right? But
That's true. That's true.
I think the issue of Malaysia, I think same like Indonesia. Majority of the company is SME company, small medium industry, or Indonesia we call
Yes.
SMR, right? So
Yes.
maybe they have lack of theory in terms of student leave. I think we have one student here, student or Naomi. I think you have any question, Naomi?
No, it's just no, I don't have any question.
You don't have any question. Okay, fine. So anybody have question to ask to Ibu Aisha? Any question? Either in terms of this topic, or do you have any question in terms of industrial engineering? Maybe other students do you have any question? Anybody? Do you have any question? That's a simple question if you want to ask about industrial engineering part. Maybe we can have one or two questions. I think here we have the Indonesian team. Correct, Bu? Kita ada Indonesian team sini?
Yes. Yes. I
Alhamdulillah.
have some student that I'm familiar with the name.
I see. Alhamdulillah. Hi, how are you all from Negeri Malang? All right. Maybe after that we can take a picture together, right?
Yes.
So
I think Naomi, that's my student Naomi.
Pardon?
She's from the international class program.
I
in
see.
Our university.
I think Wilda also your student, maybe? No.
I'm sorry? Okay.
Tasta Wilda. I think
Salsa Wida. Yeah, that's my student
yeah,
too.
Yeah, from Indonesia also?
Yes.
Okay. Any question, Wilda? Ada question tak? Mana tu ada soalan?
I don't have any question, Miss Sir.
Yes. Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much to join. So I think Alhamdulillah, at least we have some good communication, get information from Ibu Aisha. The reason I try to do this kind of guest lecture series is just to promote the industrial engineering area. To see that this area is very, very important, to get some information to students. I think this is the first series for this year, 2026. Thanks to Ibu Aisha to help us together to join, right? Even though short notice, but Ibu Aisha have question. Hamizan, do you have any question, Hamizan?
Yes, Professor. I'm your ex-student.
Yes.
Okay, I'm running a manufacturing company,
Yes.
small industry. Prof. Aisha, Ibu. For
Yes.
me, your idea of this hybrid workable if the company produce only one common part.
I see.
For a company that normally, like me, I'm producing a multiple type of parts. Not only cylinder, body, tires, many parts. So we cannot apply this kind of hybrid production. So we have to go to the number two. We have to opt the number two, mixed planning. I mean to say, for low volume, we have to outsource to the subcontractor that we pay them according to output. For the high volume, we use your style, hybrid, base plus overtime. For medium number of volume, we use just normal production, basic manpower plus overtime. So there are mix. Ibu, we cannot apply only one solution for all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Encik Hamizan. Encik Hamizan from industry, Ibu. Right.
Thank you. Hamizan. So it's kind of like sharing. So yeah, that's true that sometimes in company they don't apply only one strategy. So because sometimes the company have several production line. So sometimes each production line have a different strategy, and that's common too.
Yeah. So it actually depend on the volume and variety. Betul tak Cik Hamizan? Right? It depend on the volume and variety of the company, how they produce, how much the volume is, and then I think it depend all. But I think the Ibu Aisyah is the specific strategy for that project, right? Okay, thank you very much, Cik Hamizan.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. So any other question? I think we have 217 people here. Right, it's very, very good crowd. Any question? So if not, I just want you to open, you all to open the video so I can take a picture. Can you all open the video? So we have a. I already put the attendant at the chat. You can click and fill up the attendant. Okay, boleh buka video semua? Boleh, boleh. Yang lain gambar. Boleh fill up, saya nak ambil gambar ni. Alright. Okay. One, two, three. One, tu sekejap. Makin banyak gambar ni. Satu, one, two, three. Sekejap saya nak picture lagi. Okay, one, two, yes. Yes, very good. One, two, three. One, two, three. Okay, Alhamdulillah. So this is the first series. I think the second series will be on Thursday. We will be together with different lecturer, dosen daripada Merdeka Malang, right? On Thursday, 8:30 to 10 o'clock in the evening with a different topic. Thank you very much, Ibu Aisyah, for entertain us. Beri tepukan pada Ibu Aisyah semua. Right.
You're welcome, Prof. Effendi.
Yeah,
It's really
Alhamdulillah.
an honor for me to be able to speak with your
Yes,
student.
I think
Yeah.
it's very good for us and together to get some ilmu. Even though I think one half 1 hour and 1 hour is enough to share some information together. Alright. So sekali lagi terima kasih kepada semua rakan-rakan daripada Indonesia, daripada negeri Malang yang hadir, and from the industry, Cik Hamizan and all the team from the industry also. Thank you together with us. Maybe hari kami nanti boleh hadir lagi sekali, tapi time tu pagi lah, 8:30 hingga 10 pagi, hadir Thursday with a different topic. Hopefully everybody can come and join, and we have a very good together for sharing, international sharing. So sekali lagi saya ucap terima kasih kepada Ibu Aisyah. InsyaAllah kita jumpa lagi, dan kepada semua student-student, insyaAllah. Alright, kita jumpa pada Khamis nanti. Cik Hamizan, terima kasih banyak-banyak. Draft carefully.
Terima kasih semuanya.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum semua.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Ya,
wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih.
Ya, Bu. Terima kasih, Doktor.
Terima kasih
Ya, sama-sama.
semuanya.
Terima kasih.
Ya, terima
Thank you, Dok.
kasih. Alhamdulillah. Okay.
Terima kasih banyak Prof. Effendi atas kesempatannya.
Ya, alhamdulillah.
Terima kasih
Sudah
juga
masih
diizinkan.
hujan lagi, Bu? Masih hujan lagi?
Sudah reda. Masih ada rintik-rintik sedikit.
Masih
Tapi
rintik.
lampunya masih mati. Electricity masih turn off.
Oh, elektrisiti masih tenang. Oh, Ibu pakai wifi saja, Bu?
Saya masih pakai mobile data.
Mobile data, alhamdulillah.
My
Kalau tidak
Wi-Fi is off.
kalau tidak terputus tadi tak ada rancangan hari ini. Saya seorang cakap. Okeylah Ibu, saya ada
Okay.
urusan lain. InsyaAllah kita jumpa lagi ya,
Ya.
Ibu.
Ya, terima
Okey,
kasih banyak Prof. Effendi.
Okey, terima kasih Bu. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.